Okay.
What's going on, brother? How's
Um,
everything, man?
Everything is good. Everything is good. Everything is blessed. Can't complain. How you guys doing?
Oh gosh, I'm
Uh,
excited. Andy, how are you doing? I know you're a little
I
tired, but
yeah,
you're
I'm
excited.
exhausted. It's been a weird, exhausting week, but you know what, man? I'm here. I'm alive. I'm breathing, and that's all that matters,
Right?
right? That's it, man.
That's it. That's it. That's all that matters. We're alive. We're alive. We're in the land of the living, so
Amen.
there's hope.
Amen
There's
to
hope.
that.
There's hope. There's hope, man.
Word,
So yes,
man.
yes. I've been looking forward to this,
Oh,
guys. I really have been.
absolutely. It is mutual beyond mutualism. I don't know. Andy, I know you're going to be really into this too because I don't even want to just jump straight in the book. I know we want to do the intros correctly, actually get to simmer up the hellos, but Andy, the way this book looks, I know it's done intentional. I want to be in a hotel room and open the drawer and find
Oh,
that
oh,
inside because of the
snap.
way it looks.
Wow.
So I know we're going to go there. And I know Andy is
Okay.
definitely interested in that. So
Oh,
before we go
wow.
to it, let's get some times for our friends and our family to come on in before we go because
Yeah, for
that's an
sure.
important conversation.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what have you been up
definitely.
to? What are you working on right now?
Man, I'm so busy lately. Basically I'm a CEO of a company right now, a company called Amped Capital, and took the leap from employee to full-time entrepreneur. So that's been crazy. It's been hectic. It's comes with its challenges, and I'm just trying to navigate that. Have a good team, so that's blessed. Yeah, so honestly, I haven't done anything creative in so long. My mind has just been elsewhere. So this is definitely a reprieve, a time to really just unwind and just tap in and be creative and just be me, be me. So yeah, that and taking care of my family, Um, yeah, I got two boys. One is 3 years old. One is like 4 months.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah, man. Taking care of them, my wife, just living, just living. Yeah.
Amen.
Just,
No,
yeah,
amen to that, man.
yeah.
Uh,
And what you guys
uh,
been up to? How are things with you guys?
uh I guess it's very brief and quick. It's just been the last couple of weeks have been crazy from helping my mom move into this new temporary apartment while they renovate the building to just dealing with chaos at work because I do retail, so I'm always constantly dealing with shoplifters and they
Oh
added these
man,
new
I've
rules
been there.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been
so they
there. I've
added these new
been there.
rules now that you can't really touch them or you can't really, like interact with them like that, like provide
Yeah,
customer service. If they curse at you, just walk away. You can't do nothing about it now.
yeah.
Especially with everything that's been going on. Because I live in New Jersey, but my mom lives in New York, so I do see
Okay.
her from time to time, and it's just crazy from the time I used to live there to what it is today, to the point that I don't know if you're familiar with New York, especially Brooklyn,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
this bridge called the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, and last time I was there, I like pretty much last week actually. I was there, visit. I was hanging out with a friend. We went to church, and then was coming back to New Jersey, and that BQE area, what used to be, where there's like an underneath path where you could park your car or do whatever. And I barely see any cars, but I'm seeing all these tents of homeless people
Mm,
after homeless people. I'm like, and the cops is just there, like, okay, like it's just another day in the office, and I'm just like, dude,
mm.
this is
Yeah,
crazy. It's
yeah,
it's it's just getting bad. It's
yeah.
getting bad, and I'm like trying to convince my mom to move in with me, but she just will not. Like,
Man. She's independent.
yeah, her since
She's
my dad passed
independent.
away, she's just pretty. That's exactly what it is. That's just all right. I
Mm.
mean, I can't argue with her or anything like that, but it's just I get worried
Yeah,
because
for
it is getting bad in New
sure.
York, and it's just yeah. But other than
Mm,
that, it's just been time's passing by really, really fast, and it's been
Mhm.
teaching me a lot about why we should value every time we have
Mhm.
whatever it is, whether it's poetry or with your family or just having that alone time with yourself. Because the faster time comes, the crazier it becomes to the point where you gotta value every time that you have
You
because you might not have
have
it
to.
tomorrow.
Definitely, definitely. You gotta count your blessings. These tent cities are everywhere. They're in Canada too, all over Canada. Um, and I know that they're in the US. I heard California and stuff. I didn't know about New York, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Um, yeah, man, just, continue being there for your mother. That's all
Yeah,
I could say. Continue being there for her, man. You know, you're probably just gonna have to show up more,
that's pretty much
more
what it
often than,
is.
yeah,
That's so
yeah.
funny
Yeah.
that you would bring that up, Kaleel, because we're about to go and talk about this. If you're just joining us, we are having a 1 hour exclusive feature of Kaleel John, King Chosen One, who is not just only a spoken word artist, he is a published author, and he's working on something coming up. Well, I want to dive in here because the Black Book of Poetry, which is also subtitled A Black Man's Poetic Journey Through Love, Pleasure, and Pain, it's a 30-year compilation of it seems like life lessons and poetry. Why 30 years? What took so long, or what happened here? Because it's so incredible.
Well, thank you first. Man, I've been writing since elementary, and it, it was just something that came natural to me, just a way for me to express myself. Even though I found, like, growing up, I was kind of like an orator, pretty shy. I found that my expression came best through writing. Didn't know what it was, didn't, you know, when you, I guess around that time, no one's really writing poetry. I mean, in my circle, it was just something for me to express myself to girls at the time.
That's,
It was like,
that's right. You got to woo the women with the words, because everybody
yeah,
has, everybody can be strong, but not everybody can be lyrically gifted that
right,
woos the women. I guess
right.
I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
I mean, it was the '90s, right? So that's when R&B was
Oh
just
yeah,
like really popping,
Yeah.
that's
and to really express yourself, to to the opposite sex, and it was just cool. I was that guy, the flowers, the poems, folded up in origami, and sending them, through friends, that was me.
But I got
So
to say something though, because again, you mentioned earlier that even though you were an orator, but you said you were kind of reserved. But you be
yes,
so
yes,
bold as to write something and hand it off. That's kind of
yeah,
opposite.
yeah, because you know what, I felt like that was the ultimate expression. That was it. Like, exactly how I feel, exactly what it is. And that caused me to even write for other people, who wanted to express themselves but didn't know how. And I would write it and they'll give it away, that kind of thing. So, uh, yeah, that started my journey, actually.
Andy, I know
Yeah.
that I want to get you, but I have a few more quick
No,
questions
that's
because before we actually
fine. I like
break
to I
open,
like to listen and
I know
embrace
you
as
do.
well,
I
so
just
I'm
want to
just
make sure
listening.
if you had
So
something pressing, I want to make sure you had your chance. But because again, Andy, again, this book that first of all, my first question actually about this 30 years, where was the first chronological and where was like the last? Was the last one in 2022? And when was like the first book? Because 30 years like spans, how old are you between all those years?
Man, so I released the book
Hmm.
on my 40th birthday.
No way, because it was April
Yeah.
of last year, it looks like.
Yes. Well, 2020, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, see, the time is just
I know.
flying.
I mean,
yeah.
it's almost
But
2024. I
yeah,
just turned 40 last year.
okay.
So I'm turning
So,
41 coming up. So I understand. So
right.
that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I love it. So that's
I just turned 38, so I still have 2 years ahead.
so Andy, like
80s
we're talking
babies.
about like
80s
10 years
babies.
old. So you have like real authentic like without being jaded or broken words then at 10 like
Yeah.
approximately 10 years
Yeah.
old?
So the thing is, a lot of the poems that I even, had at that time didn't even make it in.
Mm.
And some of them I lost in a fire that I had,
Mm.
growing up. So like I lost a lot of poems that I wrote. This, like, they're more leaning, like, I would say, my in my teens. I would say like these were like my teens to my 20s, to my 30s. And it's not like I was writing every single day, right? Like I would write when I'm inspired, write to express myself, in various ways, helping me with various things like anxiety, depression, just many different topics. Like it helped me kind of cope, navigate love, rejection, breakups, all of that. So
Yes.
yeah, it spans like, even if some of those poems didn't make it in,
Hmm.
the sentiment,
Is still there.
is still there,
The
right?
themes, the essence, the lessons,
Yes,
even though you might
exactly.
not have a piece, you're realizing there is a
Exactly.
development of a person here. And
Right.
remember, we always like talking about House on Mango Street with Susan Seneros, where it's a vignette and it's a family, and you watch this girl learn from childhood into adolescence to adulthood those experiences. But
Right.
again, in your book, you refer to what you have inside as these secrets that you
Mhm.
have to share, and then also, like you mentioned it before, and again, if you're just joining us, we are featuring Kaleel John. Let people know, because we're going to go into some real deep stuff real quick, because in this book, you have highlighted poems on love, relationships, grief and loss, healing, pain, anxiety, and peace. And again, we're talking not just at one lens, but through the
Yeah.
three different lenses.
Yeah.
So go.
Yeah, through many
Mm-hmm.
lenses, through many stages, through different Khalils, because I'm not the same person I was, when I started, and through different stages, you become different people. So it's like many, many chosen ones in there, and yeah, I like to say I'm taking people on a journey, um, with me through those many types of expressions. So, yeah.
There was a question here, and it's asked, what inspires you the most to write and to keep on writing?
It's a good question. Sanity.
Mm.
I feel like if I'm not writing, or if I'm not able to express myself that way, my chest gets heavy, you know.
Mm.
It's a means of mental health. It's a means of mental health for me. Um, it's a means of, yeah, I think that's the crux of it. Being able to be my truest self, express myself to the maximum that I can to get my point across. Um, yeah, I would say that. Yeah, that answers the question. Yeah.
No, makes sense. Makes sense.
Absolutely. I
Is
just
it?
dropped
Yeah.
I just dropped that into the chat because I want to make sure we talked about this two parts for this, and I really want to go into topics. I know, Andy, I'm going to let you take over for a minute, but one, when you constructed this book, is it a reflection of a journey, or is it like this is me at this is love at this age? It's not necessarily
No,
in
no.
a specific way.
It's it's a journey. It's a
Mm-hmm.
journey. If you even look at the chapters,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to my wife. Okay.
Got to shout
Listen,
out to
shout
the
out to my
wife.
wife, Latoya. She's my publisher, and
Wow.
she's the one. Although I put the words together, even structure the like parts of it, like the design and so forth. What she did was the chapters. What she did was the design in terms of, the black on white.
Yes, I noticed
Like
that.
her design aesthetic is amazing. is amazing. Like we really came together as a team, but I have to give her flowers. Like honestly, honestly, without her, like I don't even think this book would even be, to be honest with you.
Wow.
It would still possibly be,
Mhm.
because I've had the poems on papers. When I say papers, books and papers crumpled up, that I've carried, moved from location to location on hard drives, on
Wow.
everything. They were everywhere. They were in emails. I had to go and like kind of this, pull them together. And I wrote them out. I typed them out. I even shaped them how they look. Like if you look at some of the poems, like, you know, uh, there's like shape to them, right? So I did all of that stuff. But in terms of like putting them together, like she helped with that. Definitely, she helped me with that. So flowers to you, Latoya, if she's on.
Wow.
So,
But
Before I ask
see,
the
but
second
look how
yeah,
question,
deep.
Andy, go first. I know you got a comment for that because that really
No,
probably
no,
connects to
yeah,
you.
I just think that's amazing that you have your wife who's also your publisher, who's also your support system. That no
yeah,
matter what the circumstances were, that she said, "Yo, babe, we're gonna do this, right?"
yeah,
And there's something beautiful about that. Same thing with my wife. I feel like because my there was a point where before Unraveled Influence became Unraveled Influence, I had a hiatus, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this podcast thing anymore.
right,
I did struggle with it for some time. My wife said, no, when this year starts, you're going to do this. And she told me, no, because I see great things happening. You just have to have faith and you just have to just go for it and see where it goes. And it's interesting because I always talk about this, but it's funny how I met Angela. I didn't even know I was following her on the page. And long story short, I kept hearing God telling me, reach out to her, reach out to her. I'm like, what if she thinks I'm a creep or something? She's like, no, just reach out to her. Because you know how it is, man. Social media, you know how it is
yeah,
sometimes,
yeah,
man. They think
yeah,
you're a
no,
creep or they think you're just
yeah,
trying to like do something you're not supposed to. I'm like, no, it's a
right,
real incident situation, but it happens.
yeah,
So I reach out to her, and this is based on a post that she put called "No More Shitty Years." That's exactly what the post was, and that spawned from a conversation to an interview, and then from there, the vibe just the dynamic worked. And I'm
right,
like, I'm
right.
glad I was obedient to that voice
Hmm.
and told me reach out to
Hmm.
her, and then here we are doing these interviews,
That's
and now
it.
we have a lot of great things
Mhm.
happening. I'm just like, but this is also thanks to my wife pushing me,
Right,
saying, "Babe,
right.
you better do
Yeah,
this because you have something here. Everyone has a story to tell.
Mhm.
Don't keep it to yourself."
yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what? It's about saying yes to the things you would normally say no to.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Just like you ever seen that movie Yes Man? And just like all the
Yeah.
doors
Oh
that just
my
started
God.
opening. So, I definitely have to big up my wife for that. She speaks life into me when I feel like at my worst. And a
Mm,
lot of my poems, some of the poems are dedicated to her. You know what I'm saying?
wow.
So, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, she's there.
Oh, is that? Oh,
She's
that's.
there.
Oh, we'll definitely be
Yeah,
putting her
yeah, yeah,
She's
more flowers for her
like, I'm
in the chat
watching you.
because I
yeah.
wanted to say this too because a lot of people just started to pop in, and I want to make sure everybody knows what we are about to go into. This
Right.
incredible person right here, Kaleel John, King Chosen One. I'm sorry, I have to do the radio thing.
No
I want people to
no
know what we're
worries. Go
doing
ahead.
here
Go
because
ahead.
Kaleel, you're important because what you did here
Man, I
again,
appreciate
30
that.
year and the wife again, it really is the visionary here. And the
Oh
fact that you
yeah.
gave her the credit, well, we're gonna go back to that. But 30-year spanning of this book here that came out last year, I think April 27th,
April
2022.
30th.
Oh, okay,
April, it
sorry.
came out like April 29th,
Okay.
but 30th is my birthday, so it came out for my
Mm,
birthday. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it spanned not
wow.
just right there at 40, but from basically teens to adolescence to after adolescence
Yeah.
and so many different themes. I want to know which one of the life lessons or words that you felt really was what you were able to express the best with, like what is the most proud piece in that collection? I know hard to pick your favorite child or anything, but
I,
like I
and
know I
you
taught this lesson or I hit this lesson, like love or peace or anxiety, whether it's from I love how I extrapolated through the years or this piece is my, like that's my piece.
it's really, really hard for me to narrow it down like that, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
It's there's quite a few.
I can rephrase it, actually. Let me rephrase this. From
Yeah.
people that have been fans of your work since the start, which theme do they seem to connect to the most? Or which ones do you feel like people come and connect to you behind the scenes? Like this one about, because again, in your book, you have some really incredible themes. One poem in there, or one piece of yours, stats and stereotypes, you're not afraid to go and say things.
Right.
So again, let's go to that, and then we want to hear you actually give some of our words out to the public right now. But
I feel like everybody resonates with different things, I know it's
okay.
tough. It's tough.
Okay.
It's
Calm
tough.
down.
But
It's okay. Andy, what do I do? I
because
ask the tough
honestly,
questions, all right, Andy?
Yeah.
because
You taking the
is,
words out of my mouth, because I had questions. You just took the words out. I was like, okay.
right.
But now
Can I do the teacher thing? Sorry to cut you off, because I'm a teacher by trade, and I hate to say that. Nobody's going to lie detector test you. You could have just picked one.
Yeah, I know.
But I
But
love that you're real.
it's
That's
really,
reality.
I guess it's I guess what for me, pain really motivates me to write. I would say that that's one
I
of the
hear that a lot.
reoccurring themes in my poetry. Some of my stuff is really dark. Some of my stuff is really dark. Even some of the stuff that I've written afterwards, and I'm like, I was talking with my wife, and I was like, man, what am I gonna read? And she was like, yeah, try and read something, one of the poems from your book. Or I'm like, I want to read something new too. And as I was reading some stuff, I was like, man, some of the stuff is really dark. Some of the stuff is really heavy. Not all the time people want to be hearing that type of stuff, but at the right time, the right person will resonate with those pieces, right? A lot of the stuff that I wrote, even like that were dedicated to my mom in the book. She passed away in February, and I released the book in April. So a lot of the stuff I was feeling, I wrote, and it made it into the book as well. So, I would say people who've lost, people who've lost loved ones, people who, are still grieving, grief, man. Like it's, I don't feel personally, I don't feel ashamed of, that work. You know what I mean? I feel like I would still, I still write about my mom. I still write poems about her, and how I feel, because it's my therapy. You know what I mean? It helps me get through. So if I was to narrow it down, the one that I would most resonate with, or the pieces that it would be those pieces. So not to evade your questions.
All right, you answered it. I'll take it.
All
A
right.
plus, A plus. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. I think you
All
answered
right.
both. And I think, Andy, we've seen in a lot of our interviews that pain really does connect us because it's universal.
Yeah.
But there's definitely two types of pain. There's pain without reason, because pain happens. It's a natural part of life. I'm a biologist, like a teacher. Things happen, like natural disasters out of our control. But there's also pain with reason, and that's people that hurt or harm, and that's the difference. And pain without reason is grief. There's nothing wrong with it. You have to do whatever work to heal them. So I would think, Andy, do you agree with me? Is it time to hear some words?
Yeah. I did want to ask, the moment. I wanted to ask you about your book, right? So the moment, can you describe to me the moment you decided, okay, you know what? I want to put this book out. I want to put this, like the moment, the day that you decided, okay, I'm going to put this together and we're going to do this. Can you describe that moment, and what did that moment feel like to you once it was finally finished?
I always planned on putting out a book. I just never had a date. I just never wrote wrote it down and said, you know what, this day, this is coming out. And what kind of, besides my wife, like, you know, saying you need to, you know, put something together, put something together, it was my mom passing. And in the February, you know, and looking at that and looking at all that she had accomplished as a mother, as a woman of God, as a Black woman, and just looking and seeing like all the stuff that the potential that she had, and the unrealized potential, because she was a writer too. She was a writer. Like if you hear her, if you would have heard her talk, if you would hear her write, she was amazing. So,
Wow.
she had books in her. She has, like, even at her house right now, there's books with just her writing, just
Wow.
writing, and it was never formed into a book. So I came to this realization. I was at the gym. After she passed, I was at the gym, and it's like I heard this thing, die empty,
Wow.
you know? And I was like, yes, die empty. I'm like, I want to die empty. Like everything that I'm supposed to do, everything I'm supposed to achieve, every book I'm supposed to write, I want to die empty. Now, the trick or the problem is we don't know when we're going to die. So what are we going to do? We have to maximize every moment, every day. Do I do that all the time? Am I the best at it? No, I'm not. But I always try to push myself back on track to be like, okay, let's go. And having a good support system. So when my mom passed, I was like, okay, you know, I really need to put this out. And my wife was like, you can put it out for your birthday, April 30th.
Wow.
Get to work. For your 40th birthday, get to work. And I was like, all right.
Wow.
And even still, that was a struggle. But I was like, you know what? Let's go. And it happened. It happened down to the wire, like down to the wire. When I say, and she was working on other stuff. Are you finished? I'm like, yeah, I'm in the kitchen. She's in the living room,
Wow.
in the bedroom, and we're doing it. And I'm typing, and she's editing, and you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, it's uploaded, and okay, boom.
Wow.
And it was like down to the wire. And yeah. So that experience, I can't even express to you that experience, man. It's like I don't want to give this analogy because I don't know what it is to give birth per se, because I'm a man,
Right.
you know, but you know, it was giving birth to your dream, your vision, like something you had in your mind for years, right? And it just really, it was amazing, man. It was amazing. I can't even put it really into words.
Wow.
Really
No,
into
no,
words. So.
and that really, I love that, you know, what you just said, and especially about your mom and the writing, because my father used to write too, and I've talked about this before, where recently, I was helping my mom declutter stuff so she could take to the new apartment, and in the process of that, because I remember my father used to write a lot of poetry. And my mom actually said, hey, you can have this. And she pretty much gave me all of my father's writings, which I have in my house now, in my own possession. And and it's crazy because one prayer I always has said, Lord, if there's one thing I could really ask you for, nothing else, I want to know who my father was. Because I didn't have that great relationship with him. I only had a good 5 years with him. But pretty much his last 5 years was the great relationship I have with him. But I want to know about his life. I want to know what he felt, because he came from a time where that wasn't even a discussion. I came from I was born at a time where it was bringing awareness, but we weren't allowed to talk about it, especially in Hispanic culture. That's just how it is. And I said, if there's anything I want to, because the thing is, I feel like I'm still trying to discover who I am, but I always felt like if I need to know who I am, I need to know who my father is first, right? And that was always my prayer to the Lord. I said, Lord, I just want to know who my father is. I want to understand where
Right.
how I feel, what I've been. I want to understand where it comes from. And when my
For
mom
sure.
gave me all of my father's pieces and his writings and his everything that he had, to me,
Mm-hmm.
that was an answered prayer.
Oh, for
And I
sure.
started reading some of the stuff that he was writing, and I'm just like, wow, he really had a lot of bottled up hurt that I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, damn, like I get it. And it's like being a man, being a father, being a husband. I look back and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I know my father can't hear me because I know there's no communication with the living and the dead.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, Lord, if you could just relate this message, tell him I get it now. I get it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm learning so much about myself through him, through my
Yeah.
wife, and through my son. I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning so much about myself that I didn't even know existed, and that's when I
Right.
realized, wow, I'm carrying a lot of stuff that I need to work on because my son's 4. He's at an
Mm-hmm.
age now, he's learning, he's seeing things, and I gotta be careful
Right.
what I
Yeah.
do, how I come off, and that's very important
100%.
because my father had a lot of hurt and anger that he didn't know how to deal with that, and
Right.
he gave his life to the Lord in his last days, and I seen him take his last breath literally
Wow.
in
Wow.
his bedroom. So all that, and I didn't really get a chance to grieve like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like I had to just go back to my life, and that's it. And the first year of my marriage, it was really in a dark place. But it's taught me that if I keep holding on and I
Mm-hmm.
keep remembering the good things, if I keep remembering and understanding that, hey, that pain's never gonna go away. Let's be real. But it's helped me understand myself and whether what, at least I know not to repeat certain cycles. Because when my
Right.
father lost his mother, I saw a lot of things. I see my father
Mm-hmm.
go through some things. I'm only 10. And it's like,
Right.
it's taught me to, okay, I understand now why my father was grieving the way he grieves.
Mm.
What can I do, Lord, to not repeat the same things he did, but rather learn from it and be better? And I feel
Right.
like all of this it's helped me to have that. And the fact that I was able to get that, and I was able to have this one button-down shirt he had when he was a kid. I don't
Right.
know why my father kept that. My mom said, "Yeah, you can have this too." And I'm like, wow. So now I have a piece of my father's legacy with me. But now I'm learning
Mm.
so much about myself, even through that, through his writings, and I'll even look at my writings, and I'm just like, wow, I get it now. And I think the greatest thing I've ever inherited was the ability to write, because he's the
Mm.
reason I started writing. I didn't know why I was
Mm-hmm.
writing. I just wrote because I just saw him doing it. I wanted
Right.
something to do.
Mm-hmm.
But all these things, and I'm going to throw a pun at Angela quick, I was letting my thoughts out without realizing it. And I look back now like, whoa, it started from here to here. But the root of all that was because my father used to write. And I feel like that's
Mm.
the greatest thing I've ever
Yeah.
got from my dad, was that.
Wow.
And to have his writings with me now, it's like, wow, now I have a piece of him in my life forever now because I have
Mm.
this. So it's
Right.
just, yeah. So I kind of went
That's
on a tangent.
powerful.
I
No,
apologize,
Nah,
but
Andy,
man.
that
it's
was
just,
important because, again, and Kaleel, there's a question that came in for you, but Kaleel, you mentioned that your mother, your book was really inspired and honored her, just like Andy, you had the same similar connection to your father, who was writing poetry as well. So
yeah,
I think those stories really pair really well, and I'm
Yeah.
so thankful that you shared both of those with us tonight.
Right.
So we have from our friend Carlos, pro poet. What is your process for writing poems specifically? If you can give us a little bit of the magic that is Kaleel John.
The process.
that's a
That's a
good
good
question.
question. Oh man.
That's why they called him the pro poet.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my guy. So my process for writing, I normally write on my phone now. Like it's like I use the Google Docs on my phone. That's how I feel I can get the ideas out the fastest, especially, and I could just, place ideas where they need to be. I don't use very rare, like probably 1% of anything I write is on a laptop. It's generally on my phone. Um, and it could be anywhere. Anything could inspire me. Anything, a thought, a conversation, anything. I'm like, or my way of expressing that uh, specific thought, or maybe even a poet saying something, and I'm like, huh. and I'm like, put my spin on it. Those are like less than everything else, but it could come anywhere. I could be washing the dishes. I could be in the shower. I'm just like,
You
yeah,
get
yeah,
that
yeah,
whisper, huh?
and I just get that. It's like, honestly, more time, I feel like it's just downloaded into my head.
Yeah.
Like it's just downloaded. It's like I didn't even write it.
Hmm.
like,
I feel
like
like
it
that
just,
too.
you know,
It's not me, it's
um,
through me.
right. Yeah, that's how I feel more time. And I've been doing uh, some prompts, Six Poet Society, and like with Ram,
Hmm.
and that whole crew there. Like, I never did prompts before, so like with them, like I started doing like some prompts and writing it down and stuff. So that was a different, that was like a different uh, kind of avenue of me coming up with poems, just on the spot, just like that, just like, okay, give me a prompt and see what happens. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
No, that
Hope
makes
that answers.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't wait any longer. I need to hear something. I know
Yeah.
people came here to hear you, but the conversation is too good.
Uh,
I understand, but I want to
yeah.
hear something
And
from you.
yeah. Okay, one more question and then read a
Oh
piece
yeah,
for us.
got a
There
question?
was a question that
Oh,
says, how did you choose the name for your book? That's a good
I
one.
missed that. I'm so sorry. That's a great question.
Yeah. So like growing up, when someone had a black book, it was like your book of secrets, numbers,
Mm.
for, girls, like it was just like that book. You don't want to lose your black book. This for me was like my it was like my testament, it was like my woes, my heart on paper, right? So yeah, the black book, it just came to me. I was just like, the black book. It was just so fitting. My secrets, my journey, like like things that I've been through, my the way that I see things, see life, so yeah.
That aesthetic really does radiate that, like you refer to
Mm,
it as a testament. Like I said, I feel like it's right next to that drawer in the hotel room and it's in there. And
right.
I wish it was because it looks so
Uh,
engaging. Also, again, you
Thank you
have
for
a
I,
purchasing it, though.
oh
Like,
yeah.
thank you for
Well, hold on.
purchasing it. I
Also, you
appreciate that.
mentioned
yeah.
that this
No,
was
I love what you said, the hotel in the room, because usually, I don't know how it is today, but I know back in the day, at least when I
Yeah,
was
the
growing up, when
Bible
you went
used
to
to
a
be in there.
hotel, there
it's
Yeah,
was the
there.
King James
yeah,
Bible.
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of hotels
As
I've
somebody who
gone to
travels a
now,
lot, they're
I
still there.
don't. Yeah, well, I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, because the things I've been to, like the last couple of years, I have not seen the Bible in
Nah, they
the
don't do it
hotels.
anymore. I
Oh,
don't
I've
think.
seen
I
them.
don't think. Oh yeah.
I
Still
travel a lot.
okay.
I've been to. I'm a road warrior. I'm running away from my own life, so I've been to a lot of hotels and I've checked. They're there.
Okay,
Just for
that's
shits
what's
and
up,
giggles.
man.
You got to go
Yeah,
through the
yeah, yeah,
floors. But
yeah.
also, you mentioned that your wife Latoya, she came up with the idea that some of the pages are actually reversed, where it's black background, white
Yeah,
writing,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
starts off like that, and that has
yeah,
a very powerful impact.
yeah.
And then you flip as well.
Really,
So again, the look, the aesthetic, that's a real testament too, because it has a vibe, it has a feeling, and
definitely.
like you said, it's a start to finish of a chronological experience on
Yeah.
so many different avenues.
Right, right, right. Definitely, definitely. Shout out to LabWorks Publishing. Just had to shout it out. Yeah. But yeah, the book, it's like it starts off with Genesis, right? Just like the Bible does, it gives that thought. Those poems I wanted them to kind of set the pace or set the expectation of the rest of the book. We got liberation, so why I write, or like, which is one of the poems I wanted to do and to read. Introspection, just how I, viewed women or treated women. It's like an apology letter.
Mm.
And it goes on, and
But
it goes
it's
on. Then it
not
goes on.
just
Yeah.
that. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I don't, because it's an apology letter, but it's also, whoa, hold up, let's look
Hmm.
behind the mirror as well.
Right.
who was this person in this place, and this was a person in this place.
Yes.
So even though the person did wrong or wasn't the best they should be, they're still a human and feeling.
Yes.
They're still the hero with their story. You know, I really felt that from you, and that's a real powerful piece, because it's, you can say I'm sorry, but also, hey, remember there's a human behind it as well, and that's very difficult and
That's
delicate.
deep.
Very true. I love hearing this stuff, because you know, you write, you put it out, but to hear other people's takes on it is it's definitely amazing. Definitely amazing, and very true what you're saying, for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Peace.
Peace, peace.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a fan, Andy, at heart. You know, we're here. We want to promote their work. We want their work out there, because people don't necessarily know, because people have their heads in the sand or whatnot, and that's what we're all about. That's our message, and your message is incredible.
Unraveling the
It's
influence.
your stage. We got to hear
Appreciate
you.
that. Yeah, the first one that I'd like to read is Liberation, because it kind of give, you know, people who don't have the book or haven't heard it before, kind of like some insight. I'll just get to it. I've been evading my freedom of expression. This pen, this pad, my breath, to bleed my soul as ink through this pen. Liberation that helps me escape death. I've internally wept, and my emotions, they crept onto the landscape, to the canvas or landscape of this paper, to be expressed fully. Nothing kept or left inside, nothing kept to hide, as I breathe with the ink of my soul on this pad. To inhale and exhale become easy. Writing has now become my ecstasy. To bleed my soul as ink through this pen to this pad. Pure energy. Liberation. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's liberation.
Andy, I already have the thought I got to let out right now.
Yeah, no,
So you can take your
go
time.
ahead. Let your thoughts out.
You
No, let your
really
thoughts
just,
out.
it right there at the end, especially, I got the actual feeling sensation of getting oxygen for that first time, that first breath, whether you've been underwater for too long and you get that gasping for air. It's almost like a rush, because if you take in pure oxygen, you almost get high from it. So again,
euphoric, for sure.
The euphoria that comes from that, but also through the stripping away and finding that as well. Like that's what I got from that. Andy, did I give you enough time?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. No, I definitely agree. There's something about that sign of relief, or that breath there, like you're talking about. There's something about that. It's like whatever heaviness you have, it's like the minute you, it's like this weight get lifted off your shoulder. See, that's kind of how I feel like every time, like if I'm going through something, right? Because sometimes I do this thing even at work, because work can get very stressful. And I was just like, Jesus, just saying, but it's something about when I say Jesus Christ, it's like something just like, I'm like, because I got to remind myself, it's not the end of the world, even though it feels like it's the end of the world, but it is not the end of the world. And I'm like, dude, and I'm like, you know, I should only be worried about one thing. It's when the trumpet. That's all I should be worried about. I should be worried about nothing else.
That's it.
When the trumpet comes, that's all I should care about. I shouldn't care about anything else. And if it's meant for me to wake up tomorrow, then I'll wake up tomorrow. If it's not worth it, if God says, you know what, you're not waking up tomorrow, then that's it. Because tomorrow's not promised, man. And it's like we're so consumed with so much, but it's something about when you get liberated, you're just like your shoulders not tense anymore, man. You know,
exactly it. It's you know, like when you're running from something that's good for you. You know, like you're running, you know you're supposed to do it. It's good for you. it's running, you're running from it, right? That's what writing is sometimes for me, you know what I mean? Like, I know I should probably sit down and just, vibe out and just do some writing or express myself, or I'll wait until my chest is so heavy to then put it down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Instead of just like making a perpetual process, something I do on a real regular basis to have that release or relief. That's what it's about. It helps me escape death, that's what it's talking about. So yeah, I'm glad you resonate with it for sure.
Sorry,
Wow.
you just said something that was pretty great. I
Yeah.
know you're going to pull something from the chat, Andy. Before you do that, sometimes the best answer and the right answer aren't necessarily the same. And also, just because I know better doesn't mean I'm always going to do better.
Right.
So that's where I think that's really what we're talking about.
I love that.
Very
I
true.
love that.
All right,
I love
got that. I'll be putting that later out, guys. See ya.
No, I love that though. Just because you know better doesn't mean you always do better. That's wow. See, but that's how I feel about like when we walk into things of God too. Like, even though we should know better, we don't always do better. We might have the right answer. Like, it's like we have the solution, but we don't always use the solution sometimes because we are hoping for another solution that's like we're hoping for like an alternative solution. But sometimes the alternative solutions is never the best one. But we can go with the alternative because it's just easier. It's like going with the devil you know than the devil you don't know. It's like it's crazy. It's insane. It's insane that she said that. I really snap.
She's on it.
You kind of actually sparked a question that I have for Kaleel here. When you actually did publish it for the 40th, what did you feel? Like, what did you have a sense of, like elation or relief or like lightness or just like, oh, I did it, or like what was that feeling like? That
everything I was feeling, and also scared. I was, how are people going to receive it? Even though I wrote it for me, I wrote it for me because first and foremost, because I had my poems everywhere and I wanted it to be in one place. So the book would make it be in one place and out there for posterity, like out there, forever, and that feeling was, I can't even explain that feeling. It was truly, I felt every emotion from when I got the first sale and people supporting me, my community supported me, and then I became bestseller. My wife was like, "You're going to become bestseller." And lo and behold, man, I was bestseller for like months.
Because it looks so gosh darn good. Because the book looks so gosh darn good. Well, the content too, of course, the content. But,
so, yeah.
Wow. Because again, earlier you mentioned that there were poems that you had from earlier or along the way that got lost in a fire that you experienced. But again, the way you were able to string this journey, this testament, again, it's there in spirit and it's felt and it's still taught. Again, because I just want to make sure people got to hear that part again, because this book really does have an essence. It really does. I don't want to say it like this, but I'm going to say it like this. It has a soul. And I think that's really the proof.
I believe it's my soul.
Exactly.
It's like my soul on paper, I say, and it's like you get to see me, you get to see my thoughts, my anxieties, my fears, my everything, so
I love what Robert Kazi said. He said, where is it? Fire can burn paper but not your memory. And it's so true. I definitely agree with that. It's like that took me to this Bible verse, heaven and earth might pass. No, how's that go? Something passes away, but my words will never pass away. If that makes sense. I'm trying to remember what what I'm talking about, right? I don't remember the exact.
The word.
But
for sure. The words never. Your words never. It never passes away. His word never passes away. But it's like, for sure. But you have to cement your words, right? You have to cement your words. Your words have to be in a place where, you know, once you write it down, it's there. But,
Yeah.
you know, put it in a place where others can find it, you know, others can find it. That way it's recorded. Once it's recorded, it can last forever, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh man. So I guess my question to you is this, right? So given everything we've talked about, I want to talk about legacy. What legacy do you hope to leave behind once we pass on? Because you know we're not gonna be here forever. But if there's one thing you want to be remembered for, whether it's within your life, within poetry, or even both, like what would be that thing? What would be that legacy you want to leave behind, and what impact would you hope to leave behind after you pass on?
That I was a good human being, you know, that I was a that I was a man of God, you know, a man of character, a man, a great husband, a great father to my children. That's on my mind constantly, wanting to, you know, set them up right. And in this crazy world we're living in, just know that they can look back because they're part of my legacy, you know. So, you know, for them to look back and be proud of the man that their father was, you know, and you know, hope to be better than me, you know. Like if I can implant those things, you know, that would be monumental for me. That would be monumental for me.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Um, Andy, I know you have a comment, but I want to give you time to think about that for a minute. But
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
I had a question for you because you've done some spoken, and obviously we talked about your book being, you know, obviously documented. You talked about the legacy of being able to have that tangible.
Right.
We do have spoken that gets you know, passed on, but for you as an artist, do you think, what are your thoughts on the difference? Like what brings the difference for you is spoken artistry versus putting this together, the book? Like, do you prefer one over the other? That was a very vague question. I'm still trying to figure out where I am or what I want to do. I want to do it all. I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure it out before I actually do this. So you've done a lot of incredible things. What fed your soul the most, or performing, or obviously this book was a culmination of a lot of work, but
Okay. There's no way for me to read or perform every one of my poems.
true.
So it needed to be documented.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was to write the book.
Okay.
I've read poems before, like I did it at my mom's funeral. The poems that I wrote for her, and then the second time I performed was like a few times after that. Like I was not a performing person, you know.
That's
I
right,
was a
except for the ladies.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, you said that earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my friends who is a poet, and Rowan Higgins, she's like an amazing poet here in Montreal. She's a poet laureate. You know, she took my book. She's like, Kaleel, these poems are meant to be spoken. They're meant to be. And before then, it's not like I didn't want to read my poems or perform my poems. It just wasn't on the docket. It just wasn't on, you on the, the schedule necessarily. Even though I would have, it wasn't a priority, I would say. Um, but once she said these are meant to be spoken, it kind of opened my mind because it's one thing for your work to be in a book and for others to read your work in their voice. And it's another thing for the words to be in your voice so that people could actually hear, how you actually, say those inflections or, or say, certain things, certain ways. Yeah, so I felt it was important and that my voice was important and that people should hear the poems from my mouth. They could read it first, hear me recite it afterwards, read it again, or have me recite it and then, you know, read it themselves in their own voice and try to see what they could kind of get from it. But I also thought I didn't know the difference between a poem, you know, and a performance piece. You know, like I didn't know. I basically, you know, came to know that probably that same time I released the book, a little after that. Like, I guess I had My Brand of a Man and what you call it, uh, the other poem that I read together. Man, there's so many poems. I'm just like,
Okay.
but yeah, where I never. Sorry, lost my train of thought.
It's okay. I'm just so happy because I didn't even actually ask the question. It was just set, like jar, but you answered it. That's the exact question I asked. You fed everything I needed to know. Like, you're a true professional. That's all what I wanted to know.
Okay,
your thoughts and feelings and connections to both. You answered
excellent.
it beyond
Excellent.
my wildest imagination. So, Andy, what else you got for us?
No, there was a question that says, what impact your life at this point to move you to speak out now?
So, a combination of things, like things I've discussed. Feeling my voice was important, feeling like I had a message, feeling like I didn't want to die with all of these words in me, you know, wanting to die empty, seeing my mom pass and knowing that she had so many books in her, you know, knowing that at heart I can be a performer, you know, just so many things like I felt like I could lean into, and just wanted to use my gifts for the glory of God. You know what I mean? It's not always like preaching or anything like that, but it's like I'm actually bringing honor to Him by using what He gave to me. You know, not sitting on it, not burying it, not throwing it away, using what He gave me. And even if it's just one person that could resonate with what I have to say, I'm good, because I'm good with the words that I have. I'm good. I was good with it on page. I'm good with it in an audience of one. I'm good with it in front of you know, hundreds of people. I just felt it was my time to just put it out, you know, and just honor the gifts. Yeah. Hope that answers.
Wow. That's perfect. So like I said, yeah, like it's all about that lasting impact you leave, that and that's very important. To me that's important, because even with me, I think once I die, I want people to remember me as this was the guy that wasn't afraid to be transparent.
Right. Right.
Even though I'm a man of God, but I keep it as real. I mean, for those who know me, they know I don't BS anybody. I tell like it is. I touch on topics that I feel like church don't really talk about. And that's just what it is. And I want people to remember me for the fact that, you know what, he wasn't afraid to be that way. He wasn't afraid to talk about those things.
Right.
Even the unpopular topics too, you know. So just the fact that, you know, like if I ever wrote a book, I definitely want, like you said, that even if it's one person that resonates with it, but it had an impact on someone, and that's important.
Right. 100%, man. 100%. You gotta, you know, let your voice out. You gotta write that book.
Yeah.
You gotta stop wasting time.
Out. I think
you
gotta let your secrets out from what you've described your poetry, your words as. I don't want to end right this second, but we are at the end of the live. I know the open mic after party starting, but we're unfortunately going to start to wrap up, but I want you to join us at the open mic and to do another feature piece before, you know.
Yeah, I spoke with Andy. He's like, yo, you could do 3 pieces. I was like, yo, I'm down, you know.
Yeah,
but for sure. The time went by really fast. This conversation was amazing.
It was
amazing,
super important to hear you and
we gotta
really talk about that book.
We gotta do a part 2
soon,
man.
30 years.
For sure.
Yeah, we got to
For
do a
sure.
part two, man, because this is, I love where this is going. I guess before we end this live and transition into the open mic for Origin of Thought, do you have any last words or
Yeah.
anything that you feel like maybe it's important to say or so, just all whatever?
Because we were going to get you to perform next door at the after
Yeah,
party.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I just want to, give honor to God, honor to my family, honor to you guys, and honor to everybody listening. And just want to say, put yourself out there, follow your dreams. If you have a book that you want to read, if you're a spoken word artist, you haven't written a book and you have all your poems everywhere, put them together. Holla at my wife, Latoya Belfon. She can help with that. She does those things.
Good,
Puts
good
out
to
books.
know.
She's written,
Good to
yeah,
know.
yeah. She's written like over 13 books, children's books. She animates. She actually has a master
Wow.
class that's happening.
Check your
It's the end of
DMs. We'll
this
be
month.
talking to you
Yeah,
too.
yeah, 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 for sure. Masterclass is happening. So yeah, Labrys Publishing, AD. She put it in the in the chat. So she teaches too. She's a teacher by trade, and she teaches. Yeah, she teaches stuff she's acquired through publishing and all of that stuff as well. So yeah, man, blessings to everybody for sure. Thank you for
All
coming
right.
through.